My govannen. Welcome back to my channel. I am very excited tonight to talk about the project Northmoor, which is all about trying to buy J.R.R. Tolkien's house in the UK in order to preserve it as a home that's, they say, not a dry museum, but one in which the foundation, the Project Northmoor Foundation, a nonprofit foundation that just they started up now, they want to buy the home so nobody else does and just turns it into a residence, but it actually stay Tolkien's home, which he lived in from 1930 to 1947. Now, the great thing about this, I believe, is that it would be a really great way to preserve the history of J.R.R. Tolkien for the future. You know, as the project goes through its years and it maintains the Tolkien's house, then it is something that stands in our future. And I think that it's really important, especially in a future of advanced technology, which we are moving into. We must never forget some of the simple things in life which come from the stories of J.R.R. Tolkien. So I think that this is a really special project, and we're going to talk about the pros and cons. But before I go into all that, I want to watch the video with you for some of you who have not discovered the project on your own, and let's just watch this wonderful video together.
In 1930, a family moved into 20 Northmoor Road, a big house in the university city of Oxford, England.
The young father entertained his children with his stories about a hobbit called Bilbo Baggins. And Bilbo went on a quest to the Lonely Mountain in the company of a wizard.
That young man was J.R.R. Tolkien, and in the 30s he wrote The Hobbit. By 1939, England was once again at war.
The shadow of that war, and the earlier one in which Tolkien himself fought, would stretch across the pages of The Lord of the Rings, from the Shire to the Dead Marshes.
But ultimately, good would triumph, and peace return, both to Middle-earth and the world of 1945.
Tolkien built his vast mythology for his fictional world in between teaching Oxford students the languages and literature he loved.
Altanes Yandovere Lamberiar, Vanya Elda Lambello, Anna Uglugja Buriza Burs Durbagog.
Tolkien's world has been the inspiration for many artists, writers, filmmakers. But so far there's been no specific place dedicated to the appreciation of Tolkien's life.
Until now, because for the first time in many years, the Tolkien house is up for sale. We may never have another opportunity like this in our lifetimes to convert the home and grounds into that little haven of beauty and creativity that Tolkien would have recognized. And that includes restoring the garden that he loves so much.
A hobbit hole at the end of the garden, maybe?
Spaces for quiet and reflection, like Rivendell.
This is our vision at Project Northmoor, a charity set up to purchase the house and then go on to establish the centre. And we hope one day to welcome Tolkien enthusiasts from the world over to take part in our programme of events.
The house will be dedicated to the fans.
But we cannot achieve this without the support of the worldwide community of Tolkien fans. Our fellowship of funders.
The aim is to raise £4.5 million. That's about $6 million. And that will allow us to buy the house and begin the programme of events. Now, we know this is a big ask in difficult times, so we are only asking you to give what you can afford.
There are so many of us, you see, and we all want to see this done.
We will only succeed if we all do this together as a fellowship.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Han and Lei. So that is the wonderful news. when I watched this video, I really did believe these people. I know that there's a lot of concern. The Tolkien community seems to be very divided on this idea. I've known about this for a while now, especially with my channel, where we have those that are very, they're purists, they're Tolkien purists. And so they believe that everything should be as it is, stay as it is, don't change anything, and leave it, as basically as whatever it was, and not try to change anything for the future in regards to Tolkien. But I have found evidence, especially in the letters of Tolkien, where he talks about how he started out with an idea, with his Lord of the Rings and his many other stories. And although he didn't think about the future of where it would go, he also expected that there would be unexpected branches, like trees. He himself was very connected to nature, and so many of his ways of thinking about things were really nature connected, and he saw his stories like tree branches, and basically everything would branch out, and the leaves and the blossoms would happen in the future from the branches and the foundation that he planted as the tree. So that's where I go with my channel. And so there's a division between Tolkien fans about this. But when I watch this video, I know that these particular people here, who are some of the casts from Lord of the Rings, you probably saw Gandalf and Gimli, and you could see also Bilbo in the new Hobbit movies. So a lot of those actors are the founders basically of this nonprofit. So they actually cannot give their own money and donate because it is a nonprofit. And I actually have what they say here. And I have personal experience with that because I helped build a nonprofit. And so when you are a founding member, you cannot give your own money, which obviously a celebrity would be able to probably just buy the house immediately, but they're trying to do something different. They want to crowdsource to the public so that everybody has a chance to donate. And the reason is because there's different levels of donations, and you can become recognized within the Tolkien house. But this is what they say, that this is the question that they answer on their website, Project Northmoor, which you can check out yourself, which is where I got that video. Why don't the celebrities who are backing this project pay for the house? And it says the answer here: donations are anonymous unless the donor agrees to appear in the Red Book and in the other ways we suggest in the campaign. Celebrities can give, both in money and other support, but we respect the confidentiality of the donation. And of course, there are some laws that regulate us as a charity based in Britain. It is the same type of regulations that I find in America, that if you want to start a nonprofit, you yourself cannot put the money into the nonprofit in order to do the filing and things like that and get it started. So there has to be some kind of laws there about taxes and things. And this is why they're asking for strictly donations from everyone. And they say that you can donate $25 and you will get into the Red Book, which will actually sit in J.R.R. Tolkien's study, and your name will be there to recognize you as somebody that helped with building the first center. So I think that when we look at the people that are involved with this project, we see a lot of integrity there, and we understand that, these people are going to be serious with our money, and they're not, they're all Tolkien fans. Many of them have been a fan of Tolkien for many years, and you can see that. So they are serious about this project, and that's why I believe in this. I know that some people may not trust this, and there also has been some blogs with red light about this, where they are afraid of where this will go in terms of making it look like Disneyland, or possibly not using the money correctly. But I tend to really put the benefit of the doubt into the hands of those that are starting this foundation. I can see who they are as characters. I know that they themselves are J.R.R. Tolkien fans, and they wouldn't do him wrong. The other thing is that the Tolkien estate is not part of this, but that's because they are really only there to help with copyright issues and to protect the integrity of Tolkien's work. So that's probably why they're not really part of this, is because maybe they'll get involved later on, but this is more about a vision for creating a nice space. They want to create kind of like a Rivendell space where people can go and they can visit. It's not really open like a museum, but I guess there'll be online tours, and there'll be courses that you can learn about Tolkien, and you'll be invited if you spend a certain amount of money, and you'll be able to go and visit whenever they have it available for the public. And they want to build a hobbit hole like in the garden. They want to preserve his garden. They want to actually, create a Gondor tree and things like that. So they're trying to not build a Disneyland of, attraction rides, but rather points of interest that has inspired people when they have read the Lord of the Rings books. And that, this is what will bring that house into basically full recognition for what creativity lied within for so many years. So I want to read you this. This is a letter from Tolkien himself that I found based on why the Tolkien estate was established and what Tolkien thinks about those that want to branch off his ideas and possibly not stay so purist about them, but allow them to grow and to spread and to change. So listen to this. This is from a letter to Rainer Unwin, August 2nd, 1964. So it says here, during 1964, an aquastrol hydrofoil, which made a trial crossing from Calais to Dover, was given the name Shadowfax, the name of the horse ridden by Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings. So somebody named their horse Shadowfax. And this is what Tolkien had to say about that. Well, I wish that copyright, and he quote, copyright, could protect names as well as extracts. It is a form of invention that I take a great deal of trouble over and pleasure in. And really, it is quite as difficult, often more so, as, say, lines of verse. I must say I was piqued by the christening of the monstrous hydrofoil, Shadowfax, without so much as by your leave, to which several correspondents drew my attention, some with indignation. I am getting used to Rivendells, Loriens, Emildris, etc. as house names, though. Maybe they are more frequent than the letters which say, by your leave. So it means that he's noticing that his names that he created in The Lord of the Rings were starting to catch on and be used by others. And although he said he was a little bit troubled over it because he wants the integrity of his work to be preserved. All artists and creators do in some form. But yet he also was not bothered by those that used names for their own, for their own special joy. He wasn't stingy with his creativity. He wanted to share, and that's what I really loved about it. And that's what I found. And I read a part in another video about how he knew that his ideas were going to create unexpected branches into the future. So to me, this Tolkien Center is really just an unexpected branch of providing a way where the future generations will remember J.R.R. Tolkien's work. As much as we go into the future of, a galactic nation and city and a world, we will still have remnants of our past. And I think that we should, and especially the parts of our past that we do want to cherish and that has meant so much to so many. And that's kind of what my channel is about. It's a little bit of looking at what has already established some goodness in the world with J.R.R. Tolkien's work and with the wisdom of the elves and the wizard and the courage of the hobbits, but then using that to apply and move into the future that we wish to see. And I really believe that the Tolkien Center will do that. So I'm happy for my ads that I have on this video to help to donate to this project. I really do believe in it. Wanted to read you something really fun I found here. Some of you may have heard his story, Leaf and Niggle. And that's a really great Tolkien story that you might want to read one day. So he actually wrote that story when he was in this house, because remember, he lived in this house until 1947. And I found something in this book called Ents, Elves, and Eredor. And this is a book that is about the environmental vision of J.R.R. Tolkien. So it shows all about nature and how important it was to Tolkien and what all of the characters in the Lord of the Rings think about nature and what they represent. And it's just a wonderful book. If you love nature and you love Lord of the Rings, I highly recommend this. But I found a really great part here called Niggle's Parish. And I really got a kick out of this. Leaf by Niggle, published in the Dublin Review in 1945. Okay, so he wrote Leaf by Niggle in 1945, and he was still living in this house that you see on the screen, was conceived and written the previous year after the Tolkien's neighbor expressed nervousness about a large poplar looming over her house. So a poplar tree from one of his backyard gardens here, it was looming over her house. The woman wanted to have the tree removed, but Tolkien considered this ridiculous and managed to prevent it being felled. He felt really strongly about having that tree not cut down. I love that. Well done, Tolkien. But anxious about his own internal tree. So he was feeling very connected to the tree, and he began thinking. One morning, he woke up with a short story in his head and scribbled it down. His biographer tells us, as mentioned earlier, this story has been regarded as an autobiographical allegory. However, at least one dimension of the story is so clearly suggestive of parallels with Tolkien's own self-conception and with religious perspectives on mortality that the distinction between application and allegory may be an excessively fine one. The title character, Niggle, is initially introduced simply as a painter, much in the same way that Giles is presented simply as a farmer. Just as on one level, Farmer Giles is only a story about a man's defense of his farm, on the surface, Leaf by Niggle is simply about a painter and his art. But the story is really about two things: the character flaws that prevent Niggle from being a more successful painter, and a deeply philosophical defense of art in relation to transcendent or internal values. Part of this defense is the fact that Niggle's paintings, especially his leaves, are beautiful in and of themselves, at times even captivating. A leaf by Niggle has a charm of its own, says the mysterious second voice in the middle of the story. He took a great deal of pains with leaves just for their own sake. But on a deeper level, the story's message is not art for art's sake, but a defense of art for the sake of reality. The argument does not diminish the importance of art, but elevates it to the status of transcendent value, and in addition makes it part of a value system in which the beauty of nature is linked to things of eternal importance. Niggle's paintings, and in particular his tree, are for many the best introduction to the mountains. To understand the ecological implications of the story, or ecological, we must begin with a detailed account of Niggle's great painting, described in one of the story's first visual images. It has begun with a leaf caught in the wind, and it became a tree, and the tree grew, sending out innumerable branches and thrusting out the most fantastic roots. Strange birds came and settled on the twigs and had to be attended to. Then all round the tree and behind it, through the gaps in the leaves and boughs, a country began to open out, and there were glimpses of a forest marching over the land, and of mountains tipped with snow. Simple as it may seem, this picture provides a wonderful illustration of the complex environmental perspective discussed in earlier chapters. In the aesthetics of the tree itself, we have images associated with arboriculture and part of the more general horticulture devotion identified with the elves of Valinor and Lothlorien. We learn later in the story that the tree actually comes to life in a landscape surrounded by hedges, where the two principal characters spend a great deal of time gardening and cultivating flowers, including new floral species imagined into life collaboratively. Again, this brings to mind Lothlorien and the Shire after its restoration, and the tree sustains other species of life, numerous strange and presumably wild birds. Then behind the tree, there is a forest. It has a tamer part nearby and an untamed one further away, while still more distant are the even wilder mountains. These images evoke the wilderness domain associated with the Ents in a picture that contains elements of both cultivated and wild beauty. Conservation shading into preservation, horticulture shading into ferniculture. It is a design replete with ecotones. These varied ecological components do not compete, rather they complete one another, an effect captured in miniature in the shining spray of leaves that frame the distant vision of the mountain. Initially, we see the image of the mountain from a distance. It is only a vision, but visions can be powerful, especially when, as in this story, they come to fruition in reality. So I would say that this very much is a vision that not only these founders of the Northmoor project have, but a vision that I have had and that others have had. And this was an idea that I have seen happening in the future. And I believe that it's important to have a place where people can remember J.R.R. Tolkien and go to and see all of his works and learn more about him in the future generations to come, so that we will never forget these wonderful tales and the wonderful wisdom of J.R.R. Tolkien. So I absolutely love this idea. And he himself created the elves as a character to preserve the last remaining beauty of Middle-earth before any of the darkness spread or any of the men destroyed each other through wars and competition. So to Tolkien himself, preservation, to preserve something from the past, is an important aspect of his spirit that went into his elves. And so what this Project Northmoor is doing is they are tuning in to the need to preserve something beautiful from history, where he wrote in this house and created many of his stories in this place. So it really does touch me that this is happening, because I do feel that it is part of New Earth, which is funny because it's also part of the past. But who's to say that we must forget our past in order to move forwards into the future? So I wanted to just end off with this part here, that the environmental implications of its message have as much to do with Tolkien's belief in the value of the natural world as with the capacity of art to represent, fulfill, preserve, and complete it. So the most beautiful thing about, I think, the generosity of Tolkien with his works of Lord of the Rings is that it has given everyone a foundation to work from. It has given the world a foundation to work from, okay? So those of us who feel they are elven souls, why do they feel they are elven souls? Well, elven is the word that actually Tolkien came up with himself. So if you were born years after Tolkien's generation and you read Tolkien as a child or you read him as an adult, you will feel a familiarity with the way that he described the Tolkien's elven characters. And there might be some connection there. So that's why you resonate and feel that you're an elven soul, or you're a dwarf soul, or you're a hobbit soul, because you can understand the characters that he wrote about. And that's the most marvelous thing, that he allowed this type of freedom to complete his vision, to complete his image. And so in many ways, the Project Northmoor is an extension of his art, of his creation, and to complete it, to put it into full circle where he is memorized, because this is the first world center that could be built, where he will be memorized as other authors have, and they have their centers and they have their museums. And now we can truly appreciate and show that appreciation in this regard. Will another chance like this come again? So the foundation talks about that fear is that if the house gets bought in March by some owners, they may not have the same vision as them, and they might just want to live in it because it is a beautiful house. You can stroll through the gallery and you can see all the wonderful pictures inside. So we can't put it into the hands of those in the future thinking that they're going to do this. I say we act now when we can, like Legolas said, in the many ways that, that when we can, we do what we can at the time needed at hand. And this is where we stand basically in this project. I don't know if an opportunity like this will come around again. So I believe that as more people hear about this, that I think that it will catch on in more news, and this is why I'm helping to try to spread the word this way. I really do hope that celebrities and those who are really wealthy and love Tolkien can donate a large amount of money and, be huge donators and really help with this. But like I said, they're accepting all forms of donations, and they have different levels that they basically have benchmarks to reach. So the Hobbit size gift is $25 or more, and then you get into the Red Book. And then as you go higher and higher, I think the Elven gift is about $25,000. I think that's what they said. So that's quite a lot, but I'm sure somebody can do that. And there's special perks with each level. You get recognized the more generous you are, but they really want it to be a community thing and bring everyone together. So that's really all I wanted to say, and that's kind of why I believe in this project. I understand that there are some people that might have concerns. One of them being the idea that I just want to talk about the idea of it being a Disneyland. I don't think that it will become a Disneyland because it will still have the integrity. And those that are creating the project themselves have that integrity. So I believe that they will not allow it to become some wild attraction that loses its value of what Tolkien wanted to preserve, but that it will give just small little glimpse of things, in the backyard. And I especially like the idea of trying to preserve his garden and making it bloom again and bringing that to life, so that it's a place where people can go and they can sit in the garden, they can enjoy and feel Tolkien's spirit around them, which would be absolutely lovely. I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about it. And one day, if it does become a center, I do hope to see it myself and to embrace that spirit of J.R. Tolkien that personally meant so much to me and so many others. So let's go to the chat and we can talk more. So Peachy Fruit, I hope that I kind of addressed a little bit of your concerns. And I looked further into the person that did have the red light on this project. And so he's from New Zealand. So he has the Hobbit hole himself already. You go to New Zealand and they have the Hobbit, the Shire, basically still there from the movie productions of Lord of the Rings. So I just don't know if he's thinking about others that would be able to see another hobbit hole. And I say the more the merrier, as I left in the comments, because I really do believe that we should have many hobbit holes and many Rivendels, around the world for others to see. Many of us will not be able to go to New Zealand and ever see it ourselves, but maybe those in Britain can go to visit and enjoy, the peaceful hobbit hole of Bilbo and Frodo. So I know that there are many different perspectives on this, but this is my perspective. This is why I'm giving it a green light on this project. And I would like to donate and I would like to help. So I am trying to gather money to do that. And I am trying to just spread the word so that you can make the decision whether you want to be in the Red Book or not and be memorized. And I think that's a really wonderful thing, because the people that do help to build this center, they will be memorized. Even with a small donation of $25, you'll be in a book on the desk of J.R.R. Tolkien in his study where he wrote many of his works. So I want to be in that Red Book, and at least, but we'll see what other level I can get to, because they go higher up as you go. Okay, so yeah, it's a really great idea. I think so, Squirrel. I'm happy that you think that too. I really am excited for it. I have not seen others think about this. So Tia Elda Lieva, the nonprofit organization of the Elven Spiritual Path that I helped found, we also had this idea. We wanted to build a Rivendell that would also have Tolkien's works within it, and to be a place like a museum where people can go and they could, just enjoy his art and his creations. However, that doesn't seem to be playing out right now in my existence, but this is another path for me. I feel like I see now that my vision is with others in the Project Northmoor. So I'm really excited to see this personally. Adriana. You love the information? Great. Oh, I'm so happy. Yes. And you can go to the Project Northmoor and you can read many other things. I think they lay it out pretty well with the questions. And like I said, I really do trust the founders of this project. As you saw in the video, those were all the people that are involved, and they do seem very passionate about it. So I like that. Soldier of Vanity, I would give 20,000, but I don't want to be marked as a Hobbit gifter. Oh, $20? Oh, you don't want to be a Hobbit, a gift of the Hobbits? Yeah, I know. The levels are funny because I can read them right here. If you go to them, yeah, if it's $25, then you are a Hobbit giver, and it goes higher and higher. But I still say, I mean, at least you'll be remembered in the house, part of the building of it. So yeah, maybe don't take it too personally. But it's also nice to be a Hobbit. Some of the Hobbits were generous. And then Peachy Fruit, I understand where you're coming from. I just personally have reservations about this particular project, and you absolutely can. You can have reservations. That's fine. And Solavi, my bucket list includes New Zealand. I spin yarn sheep. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, that would be a wonderful trip to take. I would love to go see where Rivendell was. I've been watching some YouTube videos of where Rivendell is in terms of, going to New Zealand and seeing where the movie set was and seeing the post of Rivendell. But that's all that exists really, is like the post. But I would love to walk through. It would be wonderful. And of course, go see the Shire too. But that's why I think that this is lovely. And I wish that we had one in America. And that's actually what I wanted to do. That was part of my vision. So who knows? We'll see in the future if that happens, if we get one in America. That would be lovely. And like I said, we should have many hobbit holes all over, many Rivendels, and maybe places where we can all really, take part and enjoy Tolkien's art and creation. But this book is really great. If you have any questions about Tolkien and you want to know who he is, I really love the letters of Tolkien. He wrote so many letters. He was not afraid to express himself to those that had many criticisms towards him, many questions about what he was doing. And I think he was doing it because he took his work very seriously and he wanted to defend his art in many ways, as he wrote about in the story, Leaf by Niggle. But he also, like I said, he was generous and he was open-minded to certain things. So I think that this project would be something that I don't think that he would be upset about at all. I really do think that this is just another way that we can recognize the art that he left, for this planet. Envy, does the donation period for the project end in March? Do you know? That's what they do say. They do say it is March. So by March 15th, I heard that was the date, because I guess it goes on sale or to market. I'm not quite sure. I kind of skimmed through that part, but if you go to the actual the FAQ on the site, then you can see it there. In fact, if I go, you probably can see it here. So let's see if I can make this a little smaller. Oh, I started it all over again. So if we go to the FAQ, and it's also nice because you can check on here too, where basically, I have to plug my computer in. Hold on 1 second. You can see all the different levels that you can, offer donations as. So the Hobbit gifts are the $25, dwarf, $250. Human-sized gifts are the $2,500, and the elf gifts are the $25,000, and the wizard gifts are larger at $250,000, and the Valar gifts are beyond that. But as far as the date, I did see that they were saying it was by March. So they talk about what will happen to my donation if we can't buy the house. So it is a donation. They'll still be able to use the donations to fulfill their charity's objectives, promoting the knowledge and appreciation of Tolkien's works and those of his friends, his fellow Inklings, and promoting arts, crafts, and literature through creative writing, film, and other means. So they would look into establishing a center to run courses and inspire future generations of writers and artists in fantasy and other guests. So if they can't buy the Tolkien house by March, then they will perhaps use that money and they will actually buy another center, which is great. So that was also a concern by some people. They thought that if they don't get the house, then you just basically wasted your donation. But you don't waste your donation, because they're still going to use that money. I would put my money into their hands, especially these actors that have been part of Tolkien's works for so long, and I would give them the benefit of the doubt they're going to do something with it. I mean, these are true lovers of Tolkien and true fans. So yeah, the news, the project. Yeah, you can kind of go around here and see. I'm not sure where I saw the March, but they talk about everything as far as the plans So if you are interested in learning more, then absolutely go to this website and check. But they're at stage 1 to Rivendell. So the last time I checked, they were at 9%. So they only have 9% of the donations that they need. Because remember, they cannot put their money into this as a IRS nonprofit organization that they have started. And I know I have personal experience with this. So they need to ask for donations from others. So that's all. So you can decide on your own, but at least this gives you some information. And I decided to go, into a little bit of Tolkien's ideas and some other people that knew Tolkien's work and show you why this might be a good idea. And you can think about it on your own and decide. But it really is your choice. But I'm personally very excited about this, and I do give it a green light. I think that this opportunity is a great one, and I'm not sure when next it will come. So I really do like to act on chances when I see them, and not lose the day. There's a Galadriel quote where it's "use the day well," and that is exactly what I feel. It's like we always must use the moment well. So I think that it's a great vision. So yes, think about it. And I hope that you all have enjoyed this. And you can also check out the website on your own for more information, of course. Everyone have a lovely day. It was really nice chatting with you all, and take care. Namarie.